Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this session that's been organized by Facebook. I'm your presenter for the day, Arvind Raghunathan, and I'm the Senior Manager for Training Content and Products. We're very happy to be hosting you in yet another session that is organized exclusively for training and placement offices of institutions. And thank you very much for being on board for today's session, where we'll be focusing on discussing what has changed and what has not in 2020, the last hiring season, in terms of top IT service recruiters. So this is going to be the focus session of the day, and I'm sure that this session is something that will give you a lot of insights with respect to ensuring that you prepare the 2022 cohort, that you are trying to ensure that they start getting their placement prep ready and ensure that they start bagging offers very soon as their placement season is just about to start. So once again, a very warm welcome to all of you from Facebook. I'm just doing a quick audio and a video check to see if I'm audible loud and clear and if my screen is visible. So to interact with me in this session, you will have a questions box on your screen. You can see it on the top right-hand corner, irrespective of whether you're joining from a mobile device or a laptop. You can use that to type in your questions or any comments that you might have during the course of the session, and I'll be able to take your questions at any point during the course of the session. Right? Just a quick check if I'm audible loud and clear and if my screen is visible. If you can please give me an acknowledgement, I will know that things are absolutely fine at my end. Great. I hope things are absolutely perfect. Great. Fantastic. Thank you very much for the acknowledgement. All right. Now, the reason why we wanted to conduct this session is because of a lot of reasons. One, of course, at the outset, from all of us at Facebook, we hope that all of you in your families and in your institutions are staying safe and healthy during these trying times. I'm sure that from an institution level, everybody across the country is doing their utmost best to ensure that the next cohort of 2022 pass outs are getting ready to ensure that they start their careers irrespective of these trying times. And from Facebook, we are here to support you. And it is primarily in that light that we wanted to conduct this session, because we have been very closely following the last hiring season across all recruiters. And specifically in this session, we want to talk about the key insights which we have gained by closely studying the recruitment patterns and syllabi of the top IT service recruiters. Now, this is also doubly, I'm sure, will be very important for you, given that in the last few days, you would have also seen the news that a lot of the IT service majors are looking at either keeping up high levels of hiring as in the previous financial year, or they're looking at increasing it much further in the upcoming financial, which is the ongoing new financial year, where 2022 pass outs will start getting hired on campus as well as off. So in that light, the learnings that we have gained by closely following the recruitment patterns of last year, I'm sure that they'll be very, very helpful for you in terms of preparing the next cohort. Right? So these are the main purposes of us conducting this session. And during the course of this session, please feel free to shoot out any questions that you might have. In this session, I plan to cover majorly 5 things. So the key elements that I will talk about will be in terms of change themes. What are the major changes which have actually come about, which we have kind of analyzed in comparison with the previous year, which is the 2019 hiring season, which was for the 2020 pass outs. So compared to that, how did the last season pan out for the top IT service recruiters? Now, I will end up highlighting this against individual recruiter patterns so that you see these major change themes highlighting. There are, of course, certain minor change themes also, which are kind of local to some of these specific recruiters, but there are some overarching global themes which will also kind of give you insights on how do you go and plan training interventions in terms of training this cohort a little bit different compared to the last cohort. We'll also talk about certain companies which didn't change, but also specifically talking about how they also kind of overarch some of the major themes which we'll talk about. We'll also spend a bit of time in terms of, now that we'll understand these change themes, how do we kind of chart a way forward in terms of preparing the 2022 cohort. We'll also have a dedicated Q&A towards the end. But in case you have any questions during the course of the session, please feel free to type your questions in the chat box. And towards the end of the session, we also have an announcement about another series, another webinar for training and placement officers and educators, which is again organized by FACE. And we will let you know about those details towards the end of the session. So this is what we have in the kitty for you in today's session. So without much further ado, let me dive in to the first item, which is we'll talk about the companies which have changed, and we'll specifically start off by talking about what are the major themes around the changes. Right? So we'll start off by talking to you in terms of major themes, and then we will see these themes kind of resonate through individual examples of recruitment patterns in between the last couple of years. The first major change that happened in the last hiring season compared to any of the previous hiring seasons has definitely been increased focus on problem solving ability and programming logic. Okay. Now, of course, there has always been a focus on problem solving ability and programming logic, but then just that in terms of specific instances, in terms of types of questions, in terms of format of tests, in terms of innovative recruitment patterns, some of the major companies have actually done quite a bit of innovation in terms of actually going about getting to the root of going on to testing this. Let me give you a few examples. First, in terms of what has happened in the last hiring season, the expectation from coding tests has primarily been that students are able to clear all possible test cases of a question. Now, this is of course slightly different from, let's say, what an IT product recruiter has tested in the last year, which has been focused in terms of two areas, which is time complexity and space complexity. But the expectation from coding tests of IT service majors has largely been around, is a student able to crack all possible test cases for a given question? Typically, the number of coding questions that these companies have asked in their recruitment test last year has ranged from 1 to 2. Very rarely some of these companies have kind of gone about in terms of increasing the number of questions, but the focus has always been in terms of, as a student, being able to completely compile a question. Now, this has also resonated in the second point, which is the level of coding questions, which are focused purely on, or I would say focused heavily, far more than the previous years, than students' ability to apply programming logic. Compare, let's say, to any of the, let's say, older year IT service company questions, which have just about maybe tested whether students are able to apply simple concepts like looping statements, conditional statements, decision making, and so on. This time, of course, the focus has still been around fundamentals of programming, but it has also been around, are they able to kind of decrypt the scenario behind that is given in a question, and are they able to apply a simple problem solving logic and then able to use concepts like decision making, looping statements, arrays, strings, and so on. So the focus in terms of level of questions has definitely increased in terms of students' ability to solve questions using simple problem solving logic. Of course, the logic in terms of what has been tested has never been complex, but the students who have done well have been people who have been able to crack this logic and then gone on to compile questions completely, vis-a-vis those who just about, let's say, were confident in a programming language, but were not really sure in terms of problem solving logic. Those students definitely struggled. You can also kind of see this particular trend increasing in a lot of companies, because a lot of these companies are also coming up with newer sections. So for instance, pseudo coding has been one section which has not really been new to placements in terms of IT service recruiters. Just to quote one company, Capgemini has always been one company which for the last several years has been using a particular section called pseudo coding, which a student will be able to solve even if he or she does not really know a particular language completely, but if they know programming logic, if they're able to follow through programming logic. More and more companies have started adding pseudo coding to their sections. And interestingly, puzzles, which has also been a section which has not really been in the fray for a long time, is slowly starting to see an emergence in the online test and also specifically in interviews, primarily to test students' ability to solve problems. So this is one major trend that we will kind of see as we go along, as we kind of understand individual recruiter patterns. The second trend, of course, which by now all of us know, is the increasing trend of democratization of the whole hiring process, where more and more companies are kind of going the national way, the zonal way, and more off-campus routes. Of course, there have been recruiters who kind of were the pioneers in doing this. So TCS and Wipro continue to do this, and Accenture, of course, continues to kind of lead the way with respect to doing something called a zonal hiring process. And pretty soon we see a lot more recruiters following this suit. You'll also see a lot of these recruiters also conducting their own competitive coding content, their own certification exams. So as we kind of march into this new academic year, this new placement season, of course, one thing that has significantly happened is competition has definitely ramped up. And it's very important that we train our 2022 cohort in terms of dealing with this competition, in terms of ensuring that they compete not just with their fellow mates in our own institution, but across everybody else in a zone or a state or a country. Another interesting trend, which of course has been in the works for quite a few years, but it has also kind of starkly come out to focus the last 1 year also, is a lot of these companies, which some of them were pretty famous for a lot of same or similar questions kind of repeating between previous years. So that proportion has also come down in the last year. In some of these companies, for instance, a lot of students in the last 1 year have gone in only preparing previous year questions, but not necessarily focusing on enhancing their native problem solving abilities. And they have kind of come unstuck because the proportion of question repetition has, of course, reduced in the last 1 year. It has also been happening for the last several years, but it's definitely come down a bit more this year. But students, on the other side, students who, let's say, had innate problem solving abilities and who also kind of backed it up with practicing previous year questions, they felt more confident going in, and they were also people who were able to do really well. And another interesting trend that has also been, I would say, a side effect of the whole hiring process going virtual. So naturally, one of the major side effects of any recruitment process going virtual is there are always people who kind of find a way to beat the system in terms of trying to take malpractices to the fray. And companies have also come out with their own ways of not only web proctoring, but also kind of tightening the screws with respect to ensuring that students' ability to control between questions inside a particular exam itself has gotten increasingly restricted by more and more of these recruiters today. So specifically in assessment parlance, we call this something called intrasectional and intersectional navigation. If I have to take a couple of examples, TCS, NQT, as well as Infosys, if you take a look at these two companies' exams, if you looked at their exam, let's say a couple of years back, their exams allowed complete freedom where, let's say, a student was in a particular section. They can kind of play to their strengths and say, I'm in the English section. I can kind of choose which questions I'm confident in and go and answer them first so that I gain marks, and then come back to the lesser known questions and maybe kind of deal with them a little later. So these exams specifically allowed people freedom to move inside questions inside a section. But these two companies and a lot more companies started restricting this particular feature, which basically means that students who had the ability to, let's say, see a question and they're able to answer it quickly, manage time efficiently, solve it efficiently, and then quickly move on to the next and the next and the next, which is basically one important test taking strategy which students ought to know in the new scheme of things today. So this is one other major trend which has definitely come out through the last 1 year of hiring process. And some of these top IT service majors, they've kind of started doing this in the last few years. Some of them have been recent entrants to this particular trend of adding higher packages. So for instance, all of us will know that TCS has been in the habit of trying to recruit for a ninja profile, which has been a 3.6 lakhs per annum, but they also end up having another higher profile called TCS Digital. A few other companies have also joined the fray. Accenture joined the fray quite a few years back by adding a 6.5 LPA. Cognizant joined the fray by rebranding its program using something called Gen C and Gen C Next this time, where students who did really well, who were able to, let's say, display higher order problem solving logic, they were able to get a higher package as high as 6.5 LPA. And of course, Capgemini has also been doing this for quite a few years. and specific students who did really well were also being able to get eligible for higher order packages. So more and more companies are able to distinguish this between students who get an entry level package versus another fresher who's got a higher order skill, who's able to display that using slightly harder rounds, but is able to ensure that he or she displays better skill set, and they are naturally rewarded with better pay packages, even within the framework of the top IT service majors, which is again, I would say, an important trend that we should prepare for, to ensure that not only do the numbers go up in our respective campuses in terms of placement numbers, this is a great opportunity to also ensure the average salary package and individual salaries of students also goes on to increase. Now, I would say these are the major trends that we need to focus on to ensure that we take our 2022 cohort forward. And I'll also show you how these changes have been highlighted. I'll also, for example, show you some of these changes by specifically taking you through patterns of companies in terms of talking to you about what has changed. The first one that I'll take an example of has been Capgemini, which also happened to be one of the first IT service majors we started hiring last year. So in the 2019 recruitment season, Capgemini recruited primarily for two profiles for freshers, 3.8 and 6.5 lakhs per annum. And their process basically involved a straightforward aptitude round starting out with, which is analytical as well as quantitative, more verbal ability. Then there was an essay writing round, which is not really an elimination process. This was followed by a programming MCQ section, which was basically a test of pseudo coding and data structures in terms of MCQs. And finally, there was an additional coding round where students who did well in that were eligible for a 6.5 lakhs per annum package. Now, if you compare this with what happened in the last year, in the 2020 hiring season, you will see a few interesting changes, which I'm sure if there are colleges here who are affiliated with Capgemini, where Capgemini does on-campus hiring, you would have definitely spotted these trends, where their hiring process significantly went through a few changes. One change, which of course came about, was the fact that the essay writing round happened to get replaced by an English MCQ round. And in terms of what Capgemini was testing earlier with respect to problem solving ability through straightforward aptitude, it was radically changed by the use of something called game based aptitude, which has been one significant innovation in the last 1 year of IT services hiring. Aon CoCubes has been the hiring platform which has been providing these assessments for Capgemini, a lot of other recruiters as well. So here, students' ability in terms of problem solving has been tested by their ability not to solve numerical problems on let's say time and work, time, speed, distance, but their ability to basically play a few games like grid challenge, number challenge, switch challenge, games which basically tested a few skill sets like, are they able, let's say, move through a grid and find the shortest path towards success? Are they able to, let's say, go through a motion challenge and ensure that, let's say, blocks are assigned together? So students who had innate problem solving logic were able to quickly go through the section, also do really well, which was a surprise for a lot of students this time. But students who had innate problem solving logic were definitely able to do well. And also, especially given that Capgemini followed a stage-wise, round-wise elimination process, it is very important that students did really well. There was also one minor addition of a psychometric test. Typically, in a lot of these companies, psychometric is inserted to ensure that they kind of understand the candidate better. So it is not necessarily an elimination process, but the game-based aptitude, the introduction of that, you will see, is basically in line with one of the trends that we spoke about, was increased focus on problem solving. I'll showcase this to you using a few more examples. Now that we've seen Capgemini, we'll see Cognizant next step, which also displayed this trend of trying to ramp up their test of problem solving logic and programming logic among students. So 2019 season basically saw this, a straightforward aptitude test. So the first round basically involved 4 sections: quants, logical, verbal. And Cognizant also was one of the first few companies which started using something called the Automata Fix, which basically is a debugging round, which has three kinds of questions: students' ability to spot logical errors in a code, students' ability to spot compilation errors in a code, and students' ability to reuse a particular given helper code and complete a question. So this has been one of the mainstay features of companies which use AMCAT, or today what is known as SHL, its assessment platform. So this has been one test component which a lot of companies use. But if you compare this to what happened in 2020 for the 2021 pass outs, Capgemini went through a bit of a rebranding and revamp. Sorry, Cognizant went through a bit of a rebranding and revamp with respect to how they basically positioned two different profiles. One of them was a Gen Z profile, 4.5 LPA, and the other one was a Gen Z Next profile, 6.5 LPA. So everybody started at a common round, and the common round continued to be an aptitude. But interestingly, there was an addition of something called an essay rating round, which is not there earlier. So what was earlier tested with respect to verbal ability, that kind of got replaced by a writing ability section. Now, after this, depending on how students perform, depending on their ability to, so this also, by the way, included debugging the automata fix, and depending on the cutoffs, depending on students' ability to display higher order problem solving, they were then taken through two different pathways. Certain students were directly taken to 4.5 lakhs per annum Gen Z interview, but then there were also students who did really well, who were given a chance to upgrade to the 6.5, and they had to go through another test, which is basically a programming and problem solving test. And if they cleared that, they were naturally eligible for the Gen Z Next package. So specifically, if you take a look at the changes, so aptitude in terms of quants and logical remain, automata fix continued to remain, essay rating was introduced, but an additional coding round was also introduced in the Gen Z Next section, which is basically what you see on your screen as round 2, which basically had 4 questions to be solved in 120 minutes. 2 of them were basic questions where students just had to use fundamentals of programming like grouping, decision making, arrays, strings, data types, and so on. But there was also another subsection inside the same test called automata, which had 2 questions for 80 minutes, where students' ability to actually use problem solving logic to solve tougher questions was tested. And they did well in that. Naturally, people with better problem solving skills were rewarded, and they were taken to a Gen Z Next interview, and thereby a 6.5 lakhs per annum. Yet another an example of how an introduction of an additional coding round, one easy or relatively easy subsection, one slightly tougher, moderate to tough subsection, kind of rewarded people with better problem solving skills. At any point in time, if you would like to even quiz me on some of these companies' recruitment patterns in detail, please feel free to ask me. I'll be very happy to share insights in addition to what I'm also discussing on screen. But I will anyway take you through all of these recruiter patterns to kind of help you spot and understand major key trends and changes. The next company which we will take and talk about will be Infosys. So Infosys, by now you will know, it actually recruits for 3 different profiles. One of them is a system engineer, 3.6 lakhs per annum profile, which is basically the entry level profile, the ninja that is there for TCS. The system engineer basically is there for Infosys. There are also 2 other profiles, which is a 5.5 lakhs per annum, which is a system engineer specialist and system engineer analyst basically. And there's another profile called an 8 lakhs per annum, which is basically a power programmer. Infosys, of course, you will know, ends up actually conducting its hiring process through multiple methods. One of them, of course, happens to be the InfiTQ, whose final certification round just got over, and the results as well as the interviews, I guess, will be starting very soon. There's also Hack with Infi, which is only a few weeks away. That is also a great opportunity for students to start gaining an opportunity to prepare for Infosys. There's also the regular campus/off-campus hiring, where Infosys predominantly ends up recruiting in large numbers for a system engineer profile, but in specific campuses, it also recruits for the other 2 profiles also through direct hiring process. For the system engineer role specifically, 2019 basically saw this: an aptitude section. So typically, when it comes to aptitude testing, Infosys kind of has led the roost for quite some time in terms of their difficulty level of questions. Not only in verbal ability, which a lot of people associate Infosys for very, very difficult verbal ability questions, but also in the other two aptitude sections: arithmetic reasoning and analytical thinking, and also mathematical reasoning and logical reasoning. Infosys also, interestingly, has been one of the companies which in the previous years has also tested on a very lesser known topic called cryptarithmetic, which is usually one of the tougher problems to solve in aptitude. So this is how the process has been in 2019, where Metal was the assessment partner. And one of the key advantages that a lot of students kind of got used to in this whole Infosys hiring process until 2020 was that the process allowed intra-section navigation. I'm inside verbal ability. There are certain questions which are very easy. There are certain questions which are really difficult. I can pick and choose what I want to answer. I'm somebody who's not really good at reading comprehension, but I'm really good at grammar. I can go and punch in the grammar questions first and deal with the RC at a very, very late stage of the test. This was an advantage which allowed a lot of students to perhaps maximize their scores vis-a-vis the cutoff in the previous years. But 2020 saw a few changes. So one major change, of course, which is very interesting from a student test taker point of view, was that two new sections were introduced. While a lot of these IT service majors have been slowly adding coding and MCQ tests, programming MCQ tests to their recruitment process, Infosys has been one of the companies which did not really do that until the end of 2019. So 2020 saw them introducing two additional sections. One of them was a pseudo coding test, in line with companies increasing their focus on test of students' programming logic and problem solving ability, and numerical puzzles, which again tested their problem solving logic. So as a result of this, the verbal ability section slightly saw a reduction in terms of number of questions and duration. The other two first quants and logical tests, they kind of got rebranded into reasoning ability and technical ability test. So while Infosys called this a technical ability test, this is basically still the same old mathematical reasoning and logical reasoning section. But these two changes, pseudocoding and numerical puzzles, it definitely kind of threw a spanner in the works in the preparation for a lot of students. And invariably, if you talk to a lot of Infosys test takers also, two sections where they also found a bit of difficulty was in these two sections. Not necessarily because the questions were very difficult. There were certain questions which were difficult. There are certain questions which were also pretty reasonably, students could solve as long as they are able to apply their minds. But the time crunch of it, if you kind of notice it here, there were 5 questions to be solved in 10 minutes and 4 questions to be solved in 10 minutes in pseudocode and numerical puzzles respectively. So the introduction of focus on increased problem solving logic, in addition to the pressure on time, it kind of ensured that it kind of disoriented some of the students, but students who were able to kind of think on their feet and who are able to display their innate skills, they were definitely able to ensure that they sailed through these rounds and also went through cracking the recruitment process. So this is yet another example of another major recruiter continuing to innovate and change in terms of ensuring that problem solving logic and programming logic were at the forefront in terms of its testing process. And in terms of assessment partner, Infosys also went through a change. This time the test happened to happen on Infosys' own platform as opposed to Metal, which is used in the previous years. And the absence of intra-sectional navigation also, basically every question the student sees on screen was mandatory. They had to answer that question and only then see the next question. And they cannot go back and change their answers for the previous question. So this naturally ensured that students had to manage time and also efficiently solve problems and get answers right in the first time of asking. So students who were able to scale up to this were definitely able to ensure they did really well. So yet another example of how changes continue to happen in recruitment process. And like Capgemini before and Cognizant before, Infosys has also been a company which is starting to slowly ramp up its focus on problem solving logic and programming logic. Now, the next example I will also show you. I'm sure that L&T Infotech also happens to be a recruiter, which is definitely key for a lot of your campuses. And it is close to being one of the first 2 to 3 IT service recruiters which started their recruitment process last year. So hopefully, I guess they'll also start doing the same this year as well. Now, in terms of what they tested in 2019, which was basically for a role called graduate engineer trainee, which is typically the role that they end up hiring for from a lot of campuses. Students go through a series of sections. They go through quant logical verbal. They also go through technical MCQs, which test them on pseudo coding, problem solving logic programming. There's also a paragraph writing, an SQL test, and there's also a psychometric test, which has got lesser amount of focus in terms of the overall weightage, but still plays a part. And there was also one coding question which usually played a role in L&T Infotech's hiring process. If you look at what panned out in 2020, the same GET profile was introduced, but colleges would have got this notification that there was an additional profile, which is a 5 lakhs per annum profile. And the recruitment process very clearly distinguished yet again, like Cognizant did, like Capgemini did, in terms of students starting from the same point, but students who are able to, let's say, do really well in some of the initial process, they were better rewarded. Where everybody started with a common point, which involved psychometric, quants, logical, verbal, technical MCQs, and paragraph writing. SQL kind of went out. So there was a common point which started there. But students who were able to do round one really well, get really good scores, display better ability in terms of problem solving, they were given an option of taking something called a level 2 test. And if they cleared the level 2 test, which is basically a full-fledged coding test this time, 2 questions in 45 minutes, where students could code in any language that they want. So one another overarching trend that we all need to pay attention is all of these companies coding tests. They don't really bother about which language the student codes in. That is completely up to the choice of students, and invariably all of these companies allow choice of all of these 4 programming languages: C, C++, Java, Python. Some of the companies also allow a few additional choices like .NET and JavaScript and so on, and Ruby on Rails. Even some companies even end up allowing very lesser known programming languages also. But the 4 major programming majors, they kind of continue to be options in almost every single company's coding test. But what matters is, like I said earlier, students' ability to power through all possible test cases in a question and crack problem solving logic. So students who were able to do this in the level 2 process of L&T Infotech, they were naturally rewarded. They were taken for a 5 lakhs per annum package, while students who got a reasonable cutoff, but who were not necessarily good enough to progress to a level 2, they were kind of left at that end. So they were taken to a different interview process and awarded with a 3.5 lakhs per annum package. Then, of course, with the most important one, the one company that definitely, of course, every single institution looks forward to on a yearly basis, the TCS NQT or the Ninja profile, which typically they end up hiring for. So, of course, TCS has got its own additional package called TCS Digital, which we spoke about briefly. And of course, there are campuses which are TCS accredited, where TCS directly conducts a digital hiring process as well, separate for the 7 lakhs per annum package. But people who also do really well for the Ninja evaluation, they also end up getting an opportunity to take up an additional coding test and then go to and potentially end up gaining a digital offer, the 7 lakhs per annum package. The digital section in TCS is one area which the company is looking to significantly expand. Even today, as we speak, it's not only freshers who are, let's say, in campus and just out of campus who are getting this opportunity. even Ninja developers in TCS today have been recipients of several campaigns where they are given a chance to take up a digital test and upgrade their package. So definitely that is one area which, in terms of TCS's opportunity, is definitely increasing. And of course, outside of TCS Digital directly visiting campuses, and also the upgradation pathway through TCS NQT, there's also Code Vita, which is expected to happen in a few months' time, the competitive coding contest. But of course, the one test which kind of every student in the country kind of looks forward to happens to be the TCS NQT, which in 2019 happened to have this. So the initial test basically had English, quants, programming concepts, and coding. Coding students could code in any language that they want. In fact, they had an additional option of Perl apart from C, C++, Java, Python also. And students who kind of went through this process and did well, as you know, this is a national hiring process. They got opportunities for the technical and then HR interview. And toppers from this particular test were also given opportunities for taking up an additional test, coding test, and they did well, they go for a digital interview process. So certain, hacks which students again were well trained on for TCS, like Infosys, of course, was of course the fact that the test of TCS until 2019 progressed in a very particular fashion. First was English, then quants, then programming concepts, and then coding. But inside English, inside quants, inside programming concepts, I can kind of navigate and pick questions at my order and my will. It all changed this year, of course. Naturally, as a byproduct of the company kind of trying to ensure that there are better safety practices in a hiring season which is fully virtual. So certain changes which significantly went through was the fact that the whole application process changed, as you will know. So students applied on TCS Next Step. They also ended up applying for the full-fledged TCS NQT on NQT's portal. And NQT even today continues to happen throughout here. There have at least been 3 NQTs after the last NQT which has happened. And a couple of changes which, as you can see very clearly on the screen, is the number of questions in every single section. So if you can notice, numerical ability, for instance, which is earlier quants, which just had about 15 questions in 30 minutes, it now became 26 questions in 40 minutes. So not only did the questions increase, also in terms of time taken to solve each question, that also it had actually dropped, which means questions had to be solved faster. Verbal now became it kind of became a larger full-blown section, 24 questions, 30 minutes. Reasoning ability had its own full-fledged section, 30 questions in 15 minutes. More and more emphasis on problem-solving logic. And there was, of course, the separate subject NQT section, which students had to mandatorily apply for to be eligible for TCS, which continued to test on 2 areas: programming logic, which was MCQs, on a lot of areas. Even pseudocoding was added this time. Pseudocoding usually has never been a topic area in TCS NQT until 2019, but pseudocoding was added apart from a few other programming concepts also, like OOPS, SDLC, for example, basic understanding of data structures, and also students' ability to solve output-based questions in specific programming languages. And in the coding section, the number of questions also went up. It now became 2 questions in 45 minutes. The first question to be solved in 15 minutes, the second one to be solved in 30 minutes. So yet again, slightly more comprehensive, more expansive process, truly to identify students' ability to problem solve and program. And of course, like I said, another hack which a lot of students were very familiar with, which was taking advantage of the intra-sectional navigation, that also went for VETAS. So every question was mandatory this time, and the students had to manage time and also ensure they get the answers right, and they cannot go back and switch and change answers. Very similar to what Infosys also did this time. So it looks significantly like this is gonna be the pattern of TCS, at least for the next NQT also. And as we've been observing, even after the on-campus, the hiring process, the campus hiring which TCS did, after there have been quite a few NQTs. There was a Jan NQT, there was a March NQT, there was now a May NQT. All of these have gone through similar patterns. And naturally, the changes that the 2021 pass outs went through, it's very important that we train our 2022 cohort too. Another interesting change that also happened in TCS was not only did the question to time ratio come down, the questions themselves got a little tougher. So what students typically did in previous years, they kind of saw at least maybe half a notch in terms of increase in terms of difficulty level. So it's very important that we also kind of ramp up students' ability to solve difficult questions, at least by, let's say, one notch higher, to ensure that they get really prepared for TCS NQT when it eventually happens this season. Now, moving on to another recruiter, which also did quite a few changes in terms of its hiring process. Tech Mahindra has sort of not necessarily been hiring in very large numbers in previous years, but it did hire in pockets for something called a non-STE profile, which was a 3.5 lakhs per annum. And for quite a few years, the pattern has been aptitude, English, and a tech test involving one coding question, and that followed by a technical and HR interview. This was in 2019. Now, 2020, they kind of rebranded the whole thing as something called an Elevate profile. I'm sure a lot of your campuses would have also got this email from Tech Mahindra inviting students for the Elevate program, where they go through an internship process and then eventually end up becoming eligible for a full-time role. So the first couple of rounds, they kind of, let's say, had an aptitude, then English, and then a tech test. Now, this is also followed by a psychometric test. That followed by a very full-fledged round 2 online test, which even quite recently, in the last couple of weeks also, an off-campus hiring for 2021 pass-outs happened, and students who cleared the first round, they were taken to another additional round of online test, which tests students across an array of concepts. To take a look at these subsections: fluid intelligence, analytical ability and problem solving, numerical ability, verbal ability, hands-on programming, pseudocode. A lot of these sections, or should I say subsections, basically happen to be test of programming logic and problem solving ability. There were certain concept-based questions also, like software testing methodologies, software testing concepts, Linux, etc. So this is perhaps one company which has got its niche area on those fronts, and thereby has also expanded its syllabus in terms of what it's been testing. But this additional online test has been one of the challenging tests, and the nature of the test itself is that certain sections are timed, certain sections are untimed. So overall, in the entire 2-hour process, they have to go through an additional online test. So yet another example of increased focus on problem solving logic and programming ability, tougher questions, tougher sections, and thereby better filtering process to extract the best possible talent. Now, while these changes happened, there were also certain companies which didn't necessarily change their patterns compared to the previous year. One of them was Wipro, at least for the project engineer profile, which Wipro has hired historically in 2 methods: one through specific campuses and also through the NLTH, which usually happens towards the fag end of the year. October, November is when it happened in 2020. So this particular online test followed by a technical and a HR interview process that remained the same. While the NLTH, there were a lot of questions in terms of would it happen in 2020. Eventually, it did materialize towards the end of 2020. But the recruitment pattern didn't necessarily see a major change. AMCAT, SHL continued to be the assessment partner. And the difficulty level of questions in terms of one company which didn't majorly change continued to be Wipro. One section in Wipro which students typically found it a little bit difficult to kind of tackle was, of course, the automata coding section, which those with good problem solving logic were able to. Ones who did not really have that, they kind of felt a bit of struggle in terms of dealing with that particular section, which happened to form a part of the first round itself. Then, of course, Accenture. Accenture started what is today very popular as a zonal hiring process. Not something that was new in 2020. It happened the previous year also. Yet another organization which kind of starts its whole hiring process at a common point for both 4.5 as well as a 6.5 lakhs per annum profiles. And so what started in 2020 and 2019, the pattern remained the same. Initially, students had to so basically they had to go through a stage-wise process. So the first stage was definitely eliminatory in nature, and they cleared stage 1, which was a 90-question test in 90 minutes on CoCube Xeon. Then they had to go through a coding test and then a communication test. So the coding test is again like what happened in Capgemini, like what happened in Cognizant, clearly set apart people who are eligible for the higher order package, 6.5 lakhs per annum package. So there were some people who did really well in the second stage, the coding test. They went on for a 6.5 lakhs per annum interview. Some people didn't really do well in stage 2. They weren't really eliminated because they had cleared stage 1. They went for a 4.5 lakhs per annum. So again, students who were able to display higher order skill set in problem solving and programming, they were able to be eligible for higher pay packages. And so Accenture again didn't majorly make any changes in terms of what its recruitment pattern was in the last couple of years. IBM also remained unchanged, but IBM has been the pioneer in bucking what was earlier a very straightforward, very traditional process. It actually bucked that trend in 2019 itself by kind of leading the way for something called cognitive ability games, which is the mini games very similar to what we saw for Capgemini. So IBM kind of happened to be one of the first IT service majors who actually started using that. So in the hiring process of IBM, typically what happened this year is there was a stage-wise elimination. There was a cognitive ability test, where people had to quite literally solve 6 mini games, like grid challenge, 9 number challenge, like switch challenge, like also trying to play a game which basically tested their ability to retain attention information. And if they cleared that, then they were taken to a learning agility test. Which is kind of new to the whole schema, which was a bit of a psychometric, but interestingly, IBM also has been in the process of eliminating students based on learning agility. Their willingness to basically learn, display that through a psychometric test, then an English language, and then finally a coding plus an MCQ test. The coding again in IBM, like all other companies, allows students, as long as they crack all test cases in any language of their choice, C, C++, Java, Python, they were able to do really well. And for coding alone for IBM, for the last couple of years, HackerRank has been the assessment partner. For all the other sections, CoCube Xeon has been the assessment partner. Hexaware also didn't majorly go through a change, at least for the Mavericks hiring. So in 2020, Hexaware, yet another IT service major, it introduced its GET profile, 3.5 lakhs per annum, as part of something called the Mavericks hiring program. Capgemini had its Exceller hiring program, and Hexaware had its Mavericks hiring program. So compare this to the last GET, which also happened in multiple campuses. The pattern broadly remained the same. There was aptitude, there was technical MCQs, and then a technical plus HR interview. And this time, the assessment platform was First Naukri, which also happened to be the one in 2019 as well. But Hexaware also displayed a few other patterns in specific institutions, where in certain institution hiring programs, where Hexaware directly went to, compared to the technical MCQ test, students were given a domain-based MCQ, where let's say if they were from an electronics background, they were given electronics-based questions. Typically, Hexaware usually also end up allowing only CSIT and electronics branches, circuit branches. And there was also in certain institutions the presence of burst-end communication skills, and in certain institutions also a coding test on a platform called DoCode. But in as part of the larger Mavericks hiring program, Hexaware didn't go through major changes. Aptitude and technical MCQs continue to lead the way. Now, this is basically a sum up. So we've seen the changes, we've seen the themes, and we've seen the themes also kind of come through. I'm sure by now you would have noticed that as we have kind of broken down every company's pattern. I wish I had all day to break down every company's pattern in detail. I would, in fact, be very, very happy to, if you want us to do this for your students as part of a session, we're very, very happy to conduct orientation session and ensure that the students prepare for specific companies. So this is basically what at FACE we believe in, we specialize in. We believe that good R&D, good intelligence gathering will naturally lead us to better way forwards in arming our students better. So if I have to sum up certain ways forward for us for the 2022 cohort, the trend that we've clearly seen is increasing focus on building innate problem solving ability. Of course, preparing for company specific training programs is very important and builds in students a sense of confidence. But it's also important that we, for example, do something like problem solving workshops, algorithmic thinking workshops, which even FACE has been doing a lot of campuses. And we'll be very happy to associate with you if you want us to do something like that. But at an innate level, kind of ensuring that students kind of get accustomed to improving their problem solving ability. If we can start early in that, they can start their placement preparation process a little earlier. In terms of doing this, very sure that even if the patterns change in 2022, students be better armed in terms of dealing with it. And when it comes to programming training, definitely the focus is on problem solving logic. Typically, a lot of students focus on learning a language, a programming language. The programming language of choice doesn't really matter. At least maybe let's say a student goes to a company and starts working on specific projects. As long as the recruitment process is concerned, what matters is are they able to knock through all test cases? And they can do this by focusing on problem solving logic of questions first and then coding. For instance, in a lot of our programming classes, we advise students to first write the pseudocode for the question and then only write the code for that in a language of their choice. The language of their choice, it really depends. It can be a very mixed cohort inside the same class. Now, this can happen only through rigorous focus on logic building, continuous practice on an online IDE, which kind of simulates the experience of an online of another online test. And if the students, let's say preferably from CSIT backgrounds, are getting started with programming, then Python is definitely the way to go. At least 50 to 55% of students who have taken up competitive coding exams or IT service company exams this year, a lot of them would have favored Python because it's extremely easy to learn, pick it up and master it. So if your students are just getting started with mastering a programming language, definitely Python is the way to go. And this, if it is topped off by rigorous practice on fundamentals and previous year questions, I'm sure that this is the ultimate pathway towards ensuring that 2022 cohort is getting ready. Now, in this schema, FACE will be very happy to help you if you like in organizing two different programs for specific cohorts. So of course, if you're looking at starting your placement preparation for 2022 cohorts, especially on programming, on coding skills, I'm sure that I'm stating the obvious here by saying that every institution tries to kind of do a benchmarking test and tries to identify students who are good at problem solving skills, base skills, and students who are not really good at a programming language yet, at programming concepts yet. Actually, that differentiation happens, which is usually what is parlance speak for CSIT and non-CSIT. Of course, some really good performers from non-CSIT can also kind of fall here and vice versa. So FACE in this season, in terms of ensuring that your college kickstarts its programming training, we'll be able to happily organize two different programs for two different cohorts. One of them is a 4-day 32-hour coding bootcamp for students who already have basic knowledge of a programming language, who will basically be taken through a rigorous boot camp where the focus will be on solving questions, practicing questions, and also going through a coding competition, thereby ensuring that they go through a rigorous model of practicing, building problem solving logic, and ensuring that they get every question right. And this is can be offered in any programming language that the students are familiar with. And in case there are students in your campus who are just getting started with programming, there's also a Python program that we also have in RTT, which is a 6-day program where students get to learn programming in Python, but the focus is on building problem solving logic. Python being the easier language of their choice, it'll definitely ensure that they pick it up better, but the focus is on practicing coding very hands-on programs. So one of them, the coding bootcamp, can be delivered for the students who are at a slightly advanced level, students who already know a programming language, and then there is a Python program for absolute beginners. So both of these programs, we're very happy to help you from FACE. And in case you're interested, please feel free to leave your choice in the poll that you see on screen, and we'll be very happy to ensure that we work with you in terms of ensuring that your institution takes the best step forward and our students get better for the 2022 pass outs, the upcoming hiring season. So I will leave the poll on screen, and I'll also open the session up for Q&A. So in case if you finished answering the poll, feel free to please ask me any questions that you might have in the chat. You can type in your questions, and I'll be very happy to take your questions and perhaps give you more insights on specific topics or areas that you would like me to. So you would see a question mark icon on the top right of your screen. Please feel free to type any questions that you might have. I'd be very happy to take your questions. So one question that I've got is there a specific programming language that is really recommended for students? Not necessarily, sir. Like I said, all of these companies, they end up allowing the choice of languages between C, C++, Java, and Python predominantly. So it's basically up to every student for themselves. So they can kind of definitely take their own choice into the matter. But the reason why, for example, we recommend Python for beginners is because by now the benefits of learning Python is clearly known to all of us. It's very easy to get started in terms of learning Python. But in just that, if we can orient students in terms of learning any of these programming languages as not just learning syntax, but rather focusing on problem solving, if that orientation can be changed, then what programming language that they choose, it doesn't really matter, at least as far as IT service recruitments are concerned. When it comes to IT product recruitment or competitive coding, not using C, for example, can be an advantage, because C is a tricky language to use, especially for dealing with space complexity and time complexity, and also for implementing data structures and algorithms. While C++, Java, and Python, they are far better suited with respect to ensuring that students are able to deploy time complexity and space complexity. I hope I've answered your question, sir. If any of you have any other questions also, please feel free to shoot them in the questions box. I'll just quickly close the poll. I hope all of you have answered. Thank you very much for answering. And we will definitely ensure that we get in touch with you so that we help your institution in the best way forward. So now, while I leave the session open for Q&A, I'll also quickly leave you the contacts of all of the key stakeholders in our institution, specifically from the business team. In case you would like to get in touch with any of them for organizing a specific training program, we'd be very happy to. If you like a placement orientation arranged for your college, we'll be happy to. If you like to organize a specific program for a particular need, we'll be happy to. If you like us to organize, let's say, a coding bootcamp or a Python program, we'll be very, very happy. So as you march into training at 2022 cohorts, FACE is with you in terms of ensuring that your college takes the next step forward. So you can maybe take a note of these contacts, and in case you would like to get in touch with any of them, please feel free to. It's been my absolute pleasure in hosting you in this session, and I hope you found this session useful. Now, from FACE, we will continue to conduct more such sessions for academic stakeholders, and the next in our series is happening is happening this Saturday. It is basically organized by the Think Foundation, which is one of the premier foundations in the country in terms of encouraging critical thinking and problem solving in engineering education. So we have in the next session panelists from the Think group who are very, very famous for kind of changing the way educators as well as students kind of change the way they look at learning as a whole in terms of engineering education. So this session is titled Encouraging Critical Thinking and Problem Solving in Engineering Education. This is happening this Saturday. I am also leaving the link for the session in the chat. We'll of course be sending this to you via WhatsApp very soon. But in case you're interested in attending the session, here is an early heads up. And I also posted the link in the chat, and you can feel free to register for this session that is happening this Saturday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. There'll be three panelists, Dr. K.P. Mohanan, who's a co-founder of Think. There's also Dr. Vaidishwar, who is the consultant sustainable engineering solutions in Think, and also Mr. Vijayanand, who is FACE's vice president, who has collaborated with Think in terms of organizing a lot of these programs. So this is the next in our series, and we look forward to catching you there. Right. So thank you very much for a wonderful evening. I hope this session has been useful for you. Please do leave your feedback in the survey that pops up on your screen and also in your email after this session. And we look forward to interacting and meeting with you in more such sessions and working with your institution in helping our students prepare for the upcoming placement season. From all of us at FACE, thank you very much. Have a good evening. Stay safe, stay healthy.